it, Manny. Let's go. Is that the energy you want?
Believe we are good to go.
Let's go, bring it, Manny. Let's go.
First thing we hear is Chon hyping up the B-Man.
Let's go.
All right. Welcome in. Selection Show Watch Party here on a Memorial Day Monday. I am Clifton Lloyd Brock III, alongside Michael Mullis. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Clifton.
We've got Chandler Honeycutt, left side.
Strong side. What's up, Clipper?
And the man who has contributed so much to ECU baseball, Brandon Manning. B-Man.
What's up?
What's up?
I love that hat.
Yeah, that's
Ghost Lab.
Ghost Lab.
former Pirate trainer Brennan Golden.
Had him
and
on the
now
show.
Ryder Giles.
Awesome.
Sent me this in the mail. Loved it.
Well, fellas, first let me say hello to everyone out there watching. Got some good numbers. Send us a like if you would. Tell folks about it. What's up, Craig, Susan, Todd, Johnny, and the folks on Facebook, and also JP, Jamie, Steve, Tincher, Derek, Moron, Pike, Zach. Zach's talking about Donnie Kirkpatrick. He thinks we're on the fifth quarter. That's coming later this year. Joey. Hello, everyone. Tyler. Craig did say, hey, Mully, really enjoyed your commentary throughout the season. Well done.
Thank you, bud. Be picking it up here next weekend. We're doing, I'll be sitting in the best I can for Coach O, as he will be sent to places unknown. I don't think he knows just yet where he's going, but so I'll be on the radio.
Definitely better than the guys in the tournament. Good gracious.
That was... it's easy to criticize, but that was a pretty rough listen, I would
It's like
say.
they didn't prepare themselves as well as the coach does here.
You do have to spend a little time on it, and I would agree. And look, man, I know I say things that are not,
I'm not hearing
completely correct or maybe put as astutely as some other folks, but I'm just a baseball coach.
Well, take the headphones off, Chandler.
Well, I don't know if they can hear him. That's what I'm off.
That was...
I don't know if they can hear him. All right, just making sure everything was all right. We had our issues last week.
Hey, that's a good production guy right there. Well done, Sean.
All right.
So, around the horn real quick, guys. Were you surprised when you saw Greenville as a host site?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and make this disclaimer statement to everybody that's listening.
Oh, you know what? Mully's mic is messed up because of that dang thing from last week.
Oh.
Can y'all share?
He can sit here.
Yeah, let's get Mully here
Yeah.
because he's the big cheese.
He is the big cheese.
That's what it is. Thank you, Chandler. And
Kentucky
thank
with
you,
Tennessee.
Brandon, Craig.
No, the
and
number
others.
2 overall is Kentucky. Is that right?
They're counting them down. So
Oh, okay,
Tennessee's
okay.
1, Kentucky
Kentucky's
2. Brandon, were you surprised? I know you weren't surprised.
At ECU.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I want to say, depending on what seed they get today, I think Mully pegged it. If they lost, they were still going to host, but be a 15 or 16 seed. I think you said that the other day, Coach. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much what, our goal was to host every year. It is hard, very hard with our current conference to host a super. Even when you win, sometimes you lose. So I think
Sean, while you're up, can you hit there?
I think hosting, I'm not surprised about. A host site here, I'm not surprised about. I will.
Y'all
say
really
that.
really think?
No, I'll take care of this without being quite as diplomatic as Brandon just was. So what I was going to say before I had a microphone that didn't work, as we have discussions today, this is in no stretch by any imagination saying that we don't think East Carolina deserves, and I say we, me. Nothing I'm saying today says East Carolina does not deserve a host site. Nothing I'm saying today is a knock on East Carolina. I'm just talking about observations that I've made and conversations that have been had with people that know a whole lot more about this than I do. And I think it's super important that everybody understands there's a lot of moving parts that go into making these regional site selections. It's not just the top 16 teams in the country. For example, let's just use Duke because that's the one that's obviously probably most likely going to parallel us.
Starkville too.
Duke, yeah, and I think Duke's more relevant just because it's in our backyard. Duke's facilities cannot carry a bucket of water compared to what we have at Clark Leclerc. And the history of the regional success at East Carolina certainly was in our favor. So having said all that, and that's just one of these things that come into play. Having said that, was I surprised that East Carolina got a site? Yes, I was. Duke did just come off of winning the ACC tournament, and they didn't just win it. They freaking shellacked in Florida State in the championship game. I thought that would carry a lot of merit. The factor there that comes into play, if you lay Duke's resume out beside ours, a lot of similarities. The biggest difference is their non-conference strength of schedule is not very good. And the fact that their facilities are not as capable of hosting a regional as ours is. So when you start adding all those things together, it makes a greater case for East Carolina. But I think the greatest example of this that we've seen as it relates to selection of a team at the NCAA level to move on is Florida State football. And Florida State football gets left out, although they win the ACC, because the committee says they're down to their fourth quarterback. So I understand the fact that Trey Savage is to return. I understand the fact that Zach Root is allegedly available. I understand that Luster Shinkman is allegedly available or is available, at least see how the week goes. But at what level will they be available? Is there enough? Was there, apparently in this situation, that question has been answered, there wasn't enough to deter the committee from giving us a host. We did win 43 baseball games. We do have a great RPI. We do have a great strength. All those things add together. I just thought the other factors may be too much.
So do you think that our wins and losses versus the ACC helped us this year in this?
Yeah.
If we do end up being the host?
Yeah, and what Brandon's saying, and there's some speculation that potentially we are the host site, but potentially a number 2 seed.
Hey, we're about to find out
Yeah.
who we got.
Here we go.
We're matched up. We're number 16, matched up with Tennessee.
Here we go. Yeah, we didn't have to wait long. Let's see. There you go, the guys at the Town Bank Tower taking it all in.
See Brian Bailey. Name redacted.
A lot of excitement.
Okay. They
Need a little excitement.
Who we got?
Oh,
Evansville.
Nobody saw that one coming.
Purple versus purple.
They're coming back for revenge.
Okay.
Kind of shows you what Evansville focus is there.
Okay.
Basketball.
What kind of room is that?
Is that Richie Rich's bedroom?
basketball meeting room? Richie Rich. VCU.
The Rams. And
Mississippi State.
Is Duke coming?
Mississippi State or Duke?
State?
Yeah.
I got to feel like it's Duke.
What about Wake?
And I mean, it could be Wake. That was the other thing, Chan, going into the ACC tournament, I was concerned Wake, Duke, and NC State having good showings.
Okay.
And it's Wake.
All right.
Who was the number 1 team
Number 1 team in the
ago?
country to start the season this year.
National runner-up.
And so you're going to get probably as good a pitching matchup as you're going to see in the entirety of the regionals when you Savage and Chase Burns go head to head. Man, I just hope it's Trey Savage. You know what I mean? I hope it's the guy Trey Savage that we all know and love. So that'll be a lot of fun. And Wake Forest can swing it. I mean, and they're playing good, so that's a great challenge, but certainly a bracket that we can come out of, in my opinion.
We've talked about the ACC matchups we've seen on that Saturday before, how electric Clark Leclerc gets. Virginia State a couple years ago with Jake Agnos' performance. Then you have a chance to play the Demon Deacons this weekend. And just thinking about it right now, you got to get through Friday first. Both teams do, but an ECU versus Wake Forest matchup on Saturday will be awesome.
As Joey points out, if you have a purple, gold, or black shirt, you're covered.
You're good
for the Greenville region. You'll fit in somewhere.
Oral Roberts.
Calzone, who are the 4 teams. They are East Carolina, Evansville, VCU, and Wake Forest will be in the Greenville Regional. That is the shortest amount of time we've ever had to wait.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of Feels a little.
Now what do we do?
Feels a little anticlimactic. We can talk about everybody else, I guess. It'll be interesting to see where there's Duke.
There you go.
I was just gonna say it'd be interesting to see where Duke lands. You see him there with the ACC tournament. They're sitting here holding it in their lap, or the tournament trophy. I think that's probably a bitter set of young men right there. And I'll be honest with you, I'm glad they can take their anger elsewhere. Because I will tell you,
they can hit
that and pitch. They're the only team in college baseball that I've really seen this year that has pride in their back end as far as their bullpen. When Higginson comes out there, it's freaking game over. I mean, he is really, really good. We saw him here. We saw him, close out that Florida State game, and they are legit.
Also, the close out the only win they had in Raleigh against State too. He's good.
He's good.
He's good.
And they've got a front end starter, Severino. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but their Friday night guy is really good. He's coming back off injury, so it'll be interesting to see what Duke does. I would tell you, Duke would be if I could take a sleeper team. Duke is my sleeper team to play deep into Omaha, not just get to Omaha, but be around for a while.
So, and they would, let's say they win in Norman, would get the winner of the Tallahassee Regional, which could be an ACC matchup. Right. Because the 8-9.
The reality is that
ACC is strong, man.
If everything holds serve, you're going to have ACC, SEC matchups all the way through the supers. If it just goes slot.
Look at our old friends UCF having a good year.
How about that?
All it took was a move to they had been struggling, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Been a while since they were good. Probably back in the Cliff Godwin days when his time at UCF since they were good.
John, you trying to get in?
No, I'm good. I wanted to let the big dog eat.
I'm still curious where Coastal will land if they get in. I think that's a heartstring deal. Gary Gilmore, the longtime coach at Coastal, in his swan song, the head of the committee is the athletic director from Coastal Carolina. So you got to think this got to come into play. And I will say kudos to the effort by John Gilbert to tell the story of what the Pirates went through this year. You got to assume that he did a nice job of spreading the word and garnering some support.
We got to get somebody on the basketball committee.
Well, I don't know that. It would take.
We would have to take it serious.
His words, not mine. Does Gary Gilmore have daughters?
I don't know. The Gilmore girls?
That's where I was
Oh,
going.
no. Stole your thunder.
That's all right. It wasn't a big.
No,
Can't get it past him now. He's.
Oh, Mully's.
Oh, look at my guys in the cowboy hats. That's what I'm talking about.
Kind of looks like should have been Cowboys, which will be playing this year at the Pirate Radio football kickoff party.
Yep, State Theater.
True professional.
Thank you to Tiebreakers for the awesome.
Yeah, I was
pregame food.
When he said let the big dog eat, that would have been the prime time. I thought about it, but then it went on. We were actually talking.
Brandon, what did you say about your wings?
Probably the best wings I've had, especially in the last couple of weeks. Today they were delicious.
Wait, how often do you eat wings?
These are
This is probably
frequent.
the third time at Tiebreakers this week.
Frequent flyer.
And it's Monday.
It is Monday. Well, I mean, it's the third in the Monday to Monday. This is probably the third time I've had Tiebreakers this week. So
I'm hooked on the boneless wings, the grilled boneless wings, Old Bay.
Mully told me about, which Troy claimed I think he told Mully about. I just wanted to see the reaction. But that is true. But the chicken cheesesteak and a wrap, man. And you went beef cheesesteak and a wrap.
Yeah, just because Troy took credit for the chicken.
Fantastic.
CBR quesadilla is another go-to. It's pretty good.
CBR, chicken bacon ranch.
Pin.
Randall says Tiebreakers is on point. All right, little trivia for you guys. 2 teams in the nation have been in each of the last 6 tournaments and hosted 5 regionals in that time span. East Carolina and this SEC team.
Bama.
They're not hosting. Tennessee, Tennessee was bad not too long ago. Sure. Arkansas, as it pops up on the screen.
Thank you, Johnny Stats.
Arkansas is another one that's going to be really. You keep saying that. I can say that about the entirety of the ACC and the SEC. Their top, 8 teams are going to be really difficult. But the top 5 in the SEC, top 5 in the ACC are it's a different deal. The other one I'm curious about, where does LSU land in all this?
I was about to bring that up.
Who wants them?
They
Who
came
wants them
up
right
short
now?
in the championship, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
They're solid. I wouldn't want to run up against them or NC State right now. Both of those two teams are just playing hot.
man, I'm jealous, and Pirate fans can't be jealous about many crowds the way our awesome baseball crowd is, but the SEC tournament atmosphere is
rocking.
nuts.
Yeah, Hoover does a great job with that deal, especially for it to be a quote unquote a neutral site. Not and you look at it, it's Hoover, Alabama, but man, it was packed with LSU and Tennessee colors yesterday. And LSU ran themselves out of that game. They had bases loaded, 2 outs, and a back pick at first base to record a third out.
Yeah.
It was something that would make you vomit as a coach.
Jamie says, will Clips still keep up with the Braves now that Acuna's out for the year?
Yeah, man.
I don't know, Jamie. Last time that happened, they won the freaking World Series. So, yeah, I'm keeping up with it.
7 games
Forget
behind.
about it.
7 games behind.
I still
Randy Mason.
Randy Mazie.
I mean,
So Mississippi State, SEC school, had a decent season, holds 10,000 or 12,000, I think around 12,000 people in their stadium. All joking aside, why didn't they get a host spot?
well, the other thing you had that there was so many teams geographically that you just end up with a tremendous spread. And I think the committee's also going to make sure that there are some quote unquote, and I'm not trying to take anybody off, but mid majors that get the nod over just the ACC and SEC programs.
Dallas Baptist is a 2. Where was that? Was that Zona?
Yes,
Yes.
What do you think about the Tar Heels, Molly?
they're good. I mean, they're playing really, really well.
It's not the same Tar Heels we played early in the season, for sure.
In terms of.
Long Island.
Look at these guys.
I think
Fired up, man.
I think they just did this thing by color,
Looks like it.
right? They're in a classroom. Wofford.
The Terriers. LSU here is a 2.
Man.
That'd be prime time.
Geographically, it doesn't make sense, but LSU, Carolina would be that'd be interesting to watch.
Show me LSU.
Oh,
Ding, 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 ding.
Good call.
Good, great call.
Fast money.
Wow.
that's
I don't think the Hills are celebrating quite as loudly as they were a second ago. I tell you what, that's a crowd right there is just hot as a stolen pistol. They are they're good.
How many pistols you stolen, Molly? Oh, yeah, you don't. I forgot. He does not get involved in dumb conversations. We found that out before the show.
Well, I
Little
do
George
because I
Jones.
came here today.
Show up every Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean,
Jamie says, is there a 3 p.m. show today? Jamie, just enjoy what you got right now, man.
Live at the moment.
Yeah, enjoy this. Appreciate B-Man being here. Farm Bureau, ECU baseball recap here on a Memorial Day Monday.
this is a good club here too. I mean, who would ever think Kentucky would factor into the national picture? Nick Mangione's done a great job there. I remember when he was recruiting our guys when he had first taken the job at Mississippi State and had bounced around all over the place. He has found a home,
Mully,
his old Kentucky home.
my buddy Matt says Norby versus Evansville.
Sure. I mean, I 100% think that's a possibility. I think that all goes back to what can Root give you. I mean, do you roll Root out there game one and make sure what gives you the greatest chance to get the win? I certainly don't think you go you Savage knowing you got Chase Burns waiting. But yeah, I mean, Norby, and it depends. I'd have to look at their lineup. If they are heavily left-handed, that's a great matchup. If it's full of right-handers, not so much. Norby's got to have that big breaking ball. If he's got that little frisbee slider going, especially against lefties, he can make them look bad.
I mean, and with Root pitching 30 pitches the other day, do you think he's on another pitch count with his next start?
See, and I don't think the intent was 30 pitches. I thought it was until maybe 50 pitches are end of effectiveness. That long inning, that extended time in the dugout, he comes out. And I literally said I said, man, I hate he had to sit that long because he had a little rhythm going. He comes out and just can't find the zone. So I don't know.
I was not watching intently, but I saw the outcome and result. But what was he? like dialed in?
Well,
or
he
did
threw
he
7 pitches in the first inning, which historically, if you go back and look at Root's outings, he has always been an early contact guy in the early innings. So and he's given up some loud contact in the early innings, but when you got Riley Johnson and, the no-fly zone out there in the outfield, you can give up loud contact. But he goes out there, 7 pitches, super efficient, comes back in next inning. I think he ended up throwing like 32 or 34 pitches.
Right.
So the next inning, what he throw? 15, something like that. No, a little less than that. Anyway, he goes back the third time. He lost his own and started walking guys. And kind of like we've seen with Lunsford Shinkman to this point, it's just been strike zone command has not been indicative of what we know them to be.
Ben Smith tuned in, former meteorologist at WNCT Channel 9, now in Huntsville, Alabama, friend of the station. Jets fan, joined us on our Jets NFL fan segment years ago. What's up, Ben?
So, Ben, were you better at picking the regionals or calling the weather? Because they were both about a 50-50 on this thing.
That is true. I did a poll the other night. It ended up 54 in favor of ECU will host and 46.
And I've already checked the weather for no rain next weekend. That was why my wife said we weren't going to host, because there was no rain in the forecast.
241 votes, 54%. I had it yesterday morning at 51 ECU will, 49 they won't. And then I started reading, and my number dropped. And I had them about 45 they will, 55 they won't.
Well, I will tell you this. I had literally a text message string going during the conference tournament. So win the first game, the guy I'm texting with, I go, man, it puts us close. Lose by 10 the next game. I'm like, I don't know if there's any way. The next game we win, and I'm like, all right, that's got to do it. The next game, and it was like back and forth.
Yeah.
I just, going into the conference tournament, I thought, man, 2 wins, 3 max, we're good. But I didn't account for a run rule game and then a 10-run loss, and I didn't account for Trey Savage going through an injury, as freaky as that one was. And who knows how that ends up kind of working out. Hopefully, again, he'll be fine, but I didn't know if that would sway the eyes of the voters.
Ben, by the way, said that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Can you bet on the weather? Can you over, under?
Ben made a career of it.
Over, under how many?
Like 82.5 degrees tomorrow?
And then inches of rain.
Yeah. I think we're on to something here.
Mully, how much do you think we'll see Colby Wallace continue to come out of the pen?
Man, he's become a part of it now, right? I mean, he's unfortunately, and this was to me one of the underlying things that maybe a lot of people didn't think of. But when Dixon gets ejected, which by the way, I thought that call was a little bit ridiculous. He went in hard. That's called baseball. At least it used to be. But when he gets ejected, and I'm like, man, Crispin at third. Because Colby Wallace, you got to have him available to pitch, especially in that point in the tournament. That was one of those things I was like, man, is this going to make a difference? And then Crispin goes up, and as soon as he got hit by pitch the first at bat, I went, you know what? He's already on base maybe one more time than anybody thought he'd get on base, because I think he was hitting a 104.
Yeah.
So he gets on base, and then he draws a walk. And it's like, look, I don't know anybody else that would have replicated that you would guarantee he's going to get on base twice.
2 lanes.
So I was like, okay, there's a good sign. But yeah, and answer your question, Colby Wallace has got to be a part. I mean, he's when you look down the roster, I mean, he to me moves into about the sixth spot, something like that. I mean, and that's going to be matchup dependent. If it's going to be a left-handed heavy lineup, Growler,
Did you see Cam Clonch warming up?
Man, it's a shame we didn't win that game Saturday, because Cliff said we'd have seen Clonch, and who's the backup infielder? He said
Parham.
Yeah.
Parham, the shortstop
We would
freshman.
have seen Cam on the mound on Sunday.
Yeah.
He hasn't thrown any at ECU, right?
Not to my knowledge. He is still a slash on the roster. He's a pitcher infielder, but
Rob says, don't mess around. Throw you Savage Friday. I don't think it's a mess around situation. Like, we don't know about you Savage, do we?
no, we don't. I think there's a little strategy involved there from, again, man, Chase Burns is sitting in the weeds, and I can just about guarantee you Wake Forest will not roll him out there game 1. So the other side is Wake Forest is a little deeper than we are on the mound. So, but, I think, excuse me, if we're going to win this thing, a Norby, again, a Zach Root, I mean, Kaler might be a decent matchup for Evansville. Here's what I would fear with Evansville, with anybody but maybe Root of the guys I just named. How similar is Chris Kaler going to be to what they see every day in that conference, right? 88, 89, breaking ball, kind of, and I hate to say this, and I'm not insulting him, but kind of average stuff. But when he locates it, he can be good. I just don't know that would be. I don't know. That would be.
Is he Seton Hall? Is that where he came from?
No, George Washington.
They probably
Grover
played each
from
other.
Seton
Yeah.
Hall. Yeah, they could have seen him.
Yeah.
Pack. Yeah, Bryant.
The Bulldogs. Boy, we got a bad taste in our mouth with those cats.
Yeah.
So good for them. They just made that move, and they now are in. It's kind of like who is it out west that won their conference and they're petitioning the NCAA to get in, but they're the first year Division I program.
The dude.
JMU.
Man.
The Fighting Marlon Eichenberries.
I don't know what that is.
That was a good drop.
Okay.
That was a good drop. What that was.
He's the head guy there. He's a stud. He was at VMI. Actually coached Tanner Biagini back in the days, and Marlon and I spent a lot of time in the bleachers together.
What's the name?
Marlon Eichenberry.
I like the name.
He is a stud. So JMU in, that may put Coastal out, boys.
Ooh, the Gamecocks.
I tell you what, I like that draw for State.
That looks like
yeah.
The only thing I'm going to say, you know who bothers me for them more is JMU. Bothers me more than South Carolina in that regional. JMU's really good.
I like State's matchups. I mean, like you said, everywhere. Because James Madison in South Carolina are probably going to throw. They don't have the luxury of probably doing what we're going to do.
No surprise if you know the history of ECU hosting regionals, but Jenny is over at Town Bank Tower. Said Cliff just said we will play the 1 p.m. game Friday.
100%. Never a question in my mind.
Yeah.
I love that thought. You get that game in and you control the time and you stay on schedule. You don't have to worry about an extra inning game or a rain delay before you.
Better night's sleep.
I love it. You think the Army Black Knights are bothered by anybody that they're going to play? Because that'll be the easiest thing they do all week. Georgia Tech gets in. That was one that was kind of a bubble pick, and I think they are legitimately pumped. I think that is genuine excitement because they were certainly on the fence. Certainly on the fence.
Coastal go here? Or do you
Man, I think with JMU in, it may be Coastal out, but we'll see, Chan.
Have we seen Wilmington yet?
No, Wilmington will be the other one.
Yeah.
So the question you have in that conference is Wilmington and College of Charleston with Holbrook. There you go, Wilmington on the call. But
Chandler, we're pretty good at this.
so does that put
Texas Steakhouse.
Does that put Charleston out? College of Charleston, they were making a plea to get both teams in. So we'll see what happens.
What
there.
if the girls? What if the girls started dancing while they were their team pilots?
line
That's
dancing?
another place.
Texas Steakhouse.
They dance at Texas Steakhouse?
Yes.
Texas Roadhouse?
I'm going to need to go there.
They just do a little line dance.
I'm not going to ask for an apology or anything, but
Because you're not going to get one. you can ask.
I'm not. But everybody saw
The
what just
Clemson
happened.
region.
Mully was wrong. I mean, this is historic.
So why not? I mean, if you want to do a huge draw, why not send South Carolina here?
I know. I mean, they do that kind of stuff.
They
in the
do it a
basketball
lot.
tournament.
Yeah.
Try to do storylines and stuff.
Maybe Coastal here?
The Panthers.
Chan's going with it. He's going with the hot hand. Maybe
Let it
Coastal.
ride.
I mean, we're running out of spots. So if Coastal's going to get in, yeah, it's running out of spots.
All right, here we go, right here.
Big turnaround for
As the
High
three.
Point. There you go. Stay hot, Sean. Stay hot.
No, this is a regional. So the 2 is going to be SEC.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Dude, did we write this bracket?
I don't know, but I want you to look at that poor High Point. They're like, man, this is like which of these does not belong when you're talking about I mean, you're talking about 3 teams in Clemson, Coastal, and Vandy that can absolutely move the baseball. I'll be the first to tell you I have not kept up a ton with High Point and what their offensive prowess is, but they better be able to bang.
I know they're D1. That's about all I know about.
No, look, and the great facilities, and they made a coaching change, and Daniel Milwee, former Pitt Community College player, went there and played, and he's now in the White Sox organization. I mean, it's a great place, beautiful place. I tell you what, if your kid decides to go to High Point, you better get your checkbook right because it is very expensive. Matter of fact,
It's like Liberty, right? I mean, it's on up there.
yeah. Jack West, golfer from Greenville, his dad, Stephen West, Jack's headed to High Point to play golf.
Oklahoma State, Niagara, and the Florida Gators.
And, Florida was a team that was
28 and 27.
What?
Well, they had a really, really rough start, a lot of close games. I was getting ready to say. They stayed in the polls at like number 6 forever, and then get swept in a weekend series and finally just free fall to like 21 or something. But they managed to hang on.
We haven't talked about this, and I'm glad, and now I'm bringing it up. But a lot of hate from some Pirate fans going to D1 baseball, Aaron Fitt, and the like for some of their comments. But I feel like at the same time, ECU, you talk about being left in the polls. They were left pretty high in the polls despite
Hovered right there.
some struggles here and there. So I think ECU gets credit for history on this thing quite a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, you're still talking about a 43-win team.
Yeah.
Look, this isn't even a conversation. We're talking about, in my opinion, the top 6 national seed, maybe even or better, with the big if everybody stayed healthy.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a really solid club, and early in the year, and even 2/3 of the way through the year, you're like, man, this thing is special. They got something going. It's got a different feel to it. And then just one thing after the other. You just have to wonder if all those things, all the adversity didn't, put them in a mental place to where they kind of know that they can overcome. I think East Carolina's going to be a really scary team through this thing.
Santa Barbara's hosting. Is Indiana State? We haven't seen them, have we? Mm-mm. They're going to be like the 2 here.
Man,
Do we?
I thought they were like a couple of brackets ago. Or
Really?
was that?
I don't
Maybe
remember
so.
seeing them, but
So we've got Oregon State on the West Coast.
in San Diego.
And
Have we
I'll be
seen
Santa
Mississippi
Barbara.
State yet?
Is that where Coach O's going?
We don't know yet.
by the way, Chon, Arizona is hosting too. Is that on the West Coast?
Yeah.
Do they have oceanfront property there?
Yeah. It says in the song.
Well, there's San Diego.
All right.
That was a mully call.
San Diego.
Accidentally.
Yeah, it was. San Diego. That one line in that movie has ruined the San Diego for me for,
Oh, 100%.
for a lifetime.
There's some good late night viewing after you get home from Clark LeClaire.
Maybe we
Get
saw
some
in
late
Indiana.
games.
Maybe we saw Indiana.
Indiana.
The Hoosiers were up there early.
Yeah. Sitting there trying to go through it all in my head.
I love watching those West Coast games late at night.
Heck yeah, man. Especially after. Do we complete each other's?
Citizens?
You guys are so cute.
All right, who'd the Aggies have?
Grambling. They had a walk-off 2-run
In the bus. That's what I'm
swinging
talking about.
punt that I saw on social media
Do
yesterday.
they
to
have
win that.
MAGA hats on?
I'm going to say no.
Don't they?
They are red hats.
I even got a chuckle at that one. That was pretty good.
that was yeah.
Make America Grambling again.
Oh,
Texas.
Eyes of Texas.
Well, there's your reason.
Oh.
Texas A&M. There's your
Two Colts.
there's your
Spicy.
why not have South Carolina Clemson in
Yeah.
the same.
That's fun.
You know, Texas A&M has their traditions. So
And let me tell you something. Louisiana is for real.
I saw them as a possible 2 here in Greenville.
The Raging Cajuns.
They are for real.
They're also sponsored by Popeyes, it looks like.
No. Popeyes?
Yeah. Like the restaurant. Popeyes famous chicken. They're all orange and all Cajun chicken. Just hit my head when I saw them come across there.
If you
Where will he start?
have to explain it.
Louisiana's
I mean, I just made a
Louisiana's red.
The Cajuns, they were just orange, everything
Red,
up there.
just bad color on the cell phone camera.
Darn.
Man, we were hot too, Brandon.
It'd be
We had
cooler if they
something
were
going here.
orange, though. I'm trying to.
I love hearing from committee chairs.
We just thought they were good.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to say? That
We liked them.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
So do we have a what's been picked yet?
at this point, the cat's out.
Can you
of the
throw
bag.
that up there, gentlemen?
I'm sorry.
I asked you an impossible task. I was gonna say, can you send me up there? Hey, what's already been picked? What's going on? Where's the ball dropping next?
Yeah.
we're done. Right? I think we're
There's
done.
been a lot of
Talking
talking
chair.
while we were doing it. I mean,
Cameron said, and Mully, you already answered this. Can you do it briefly? How in the world did Florida make the tournament?
Literally hung on. I mean, they played back through the SEC, had a little bit of run down the road.
If they
down
were
the
ranked
stretch.
highly going into the year, would they have made the tournament? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were given a lot of credit going into the year.
Yeah, and they lived up to some of that, but that's a legitimate question. The same question comes into, like, how did Florida hang on to the rankings that they had early on? I'm trying to find their RPI page.
Mississippi State going to Charlottesville. That was one I missed. We missed. They're pretty good, but still don't know why they're not hosting. I mean,
Who's going to Charlottesville?
Mississippi State. They literally.
So who's griping that they're not hosting because ECU is?
Mississippi State. I'm that
Dude.
got several text messages from some people that are from Mississippi.
Any Wake folks think they should be in Winston-Salem?
Not many Wake folks.
Yeah, that's true.
Garrett Bullock, we can call him, see what his opinion is, maybe.
Florida did end up with the number one strength of schedule, 30 RPI, 21 non-conference
So they
strength
got
of
some
schedule.
metrics, some
44
resume.
non-conference RPI.
The computers like them.
The computers liked them. That's right.
Man, I love that 30 for 30 music.
Did y'all see they're coming out with a movie about John Sterling? Or, no, Donald Sterling?
Yeah.
Clipped.
Yeah. They showed it 1,000 times over the weekend.
When do we get like a Pirate Radio promo of Clipped talking about Clipped?
That's a good idea.
Hey, just like
Get
Donald,
back on track, man.
just like Donald Sterling, I was canceled for the things I said.
Yes, we already have an opening line.
There's going to be a documentary about that one day.
Yeah.
It's going to be shown on ESPN Plus.
Joey says, did we answer this? Indiana State is at Kentucky facing off with Illinois. So
Yeah.
Sycamores are two.
Yeah.
All right. Mike Mullis will be on the call Monday afternoon, early afternoon, for ECU and Evansville.
It's kind of hard to believe it's already here, right? Like it seems like the
went fast.
season kind of flew by.
So we're doing a bracket challenge.
Definitely.
Squeeze play.
Oh, squeeze play.
Squeeze play.
We'll talk to Danny Beal at some point this week because usually I text the guys and ask if they can come on. Danny told me, without me asking, that he's coming on.
Okay.
He's fired up.
All right.
So we'll talk to him. We'll talk to former Pirate Corey Scott this week. Talk some baseball. Also, for you football fans, Mike Houston will join us Thursday on the show.
He couldn't let it go, could he? He's got to get in there. It's like just like the NFL.
We got to get his pick.
What's the NFL going to announce this week? Of course, college baseball is not even on the NFL's radar.
I don't know. We did a schedule release. We need like a jersey release or something in the NFL. Helmet release.
They did release those awful Giants unis that you like. When Coach Mack so quickly took my side on that.
Oh, they're talking about ECU here.
Happy Memorial Day to you. Certainly want to send our appreciation to all those that have served in our military and sacrificed so we can enjoy this great game of college baseball. To your question, Matt, that was a collection of teams that we spent a good deal of time on. There was great deliberation within the room. to determine those final couple of host sites. I think what it came down to was a variety of factors, really a holistic approach. But we looked at common opponents. We looked at how successful teams had been in their conference, the amount of series wins, for example, consistency of play throughout the year. And, committee felt, particularly looking at common opponents and how well teams had fared against the same out-of-conference opponents or inside the league. And at the end of the day, that the committee felt that East Carolina deserved that spot.
Let's take a look at the bubble here, the last four in.
And let's face it, their AD, is here and
Coastal Carolina, Indiana.
felt bad.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Coastal gets into, obviously, the guy that was just talking is the Coastal AD. So, but Coastal gets in, East Carolina gets in. Charleston out, Cincy out. Charleston's a big surprise to me at 42 on the RPI. This new KPI thing, I'm trying to understand it, and I thought it was going to be some type of fancy metric, but it's like named after a dude. Like it's the Kevin Pog or something index.
Is it your buddy, KP?
No, not that one. No, that'd be an interesting index.
Yes.
But I mean, it's awesome. It doesn't matter how it happened, right?
Does the chips fall when you got people that earned a spot like ECU earned it throughout the whole year, and then Tulane? Does Tulane push out, say, Coastal or something like that?
Probably there were two spot stealers, and Coastal's. I mean, Tulane was one, and I can't remember who the other one was.
Did Indiana
stole
Did they win their
spot?
Grambling maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Grambling had 29 wins, so they probably. But
they won their.
If you win their tournament without winning your conference, that's a spot stealer.
Oh yeah,
in a single bid conference.
How many Big Ten? I know, but how many Big Ten teams were called today? I remember Indiana.
Have to go back and dig through
and
that.
I don't remember many more at all.
I would be lying if I could tell you.
But we didn't
all
see
the
like
Big Ten
Michigan.
teams.
We didn't see Purdue. We didn't see Iowa. I don't know if we had. Did they have two in?
Again, I'd have to dig into that. I don't. That's not a.
Jeff said Evansville stole a bid. Who else was in from the? Were they in the Valley?
Florida Gators. All right, look.
Mully, you have said that Cliff is a mad scientist when it comes to putting together a schedule.
He's got the magic abacus. He somehow figures out how to pull that thing off, and he's been around the best. With Maneri and just different coaches. He's been around and learning how to manage that. And you got to realize that's a tough gig because he knows that if you hold serve and just play teams inside the conference, and then you don't take the chances against Carolina for 3 and NC State for 2 and Wilmington for 2. If you just hold serve and kind of play at par level, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
To me, what's interesting about this, if we think back to 21, okay, and we were, nationals there, top 8, this rationale is almost a total opposite of the rationale that was given in 21. So we have a 22-game win streak, which puts us in the top 8, right? Committee Chairman Hogue here says we looked at the total body of work and matchups, common matchups, common opponents. So that's a very different thought than, in 21 they go, look, this team just won 22 games in a row. That's how we're going to reward a top 8 seed. So it's interesting. I think each committee, because I don't know what the terms are on this committee, maybe 2 years. I think every committee probably has a little bit of a different personality, and this one went with the body of work, the whole body of work. So obviously, if there was much recency bias calculated into it, I think that's where it would have hurt the Pirates, and that was my concern is how would they view what had happened recently. And I know it was because the Pirates are not healthy, but that's still part of the story.
Do you see anything that you're like, man, they messed that up? Anything pop out at you?
The thing that jumps off the page, and I know there's nothing that can be done about it because they don't, but Duke not being a host after what they did in the ACC tournament, and quite frankly, what Duke did from the time they played us to the time they beat NC State
was good.
Pretty good body of work.
Yeah.
How about them going all the way out? I say all the way out, but out to Norman rather than somewhere local. Is that hurt too? I mean,
and I think that's going to be, that goes back to the quality of the opponents. So, you know, like with us as a 16, they kind of try to stagger it out to where the 2, 3s, and 4s are, you almost become, those teams are closer together in grouping from their resume. If you're, you know, so they kind of spread out the better 2s and the better 3s and the better 4s. And I think that's just the way the cookie crumbled as it related to their resume and them having to go out to Norman. But I'm going to tell you, Oklahoma saw that and was like, man, we'd have taken just about. I think for the number 2, I think Duke is the best number 2 seed in the tournament.
Overweight force too.
No question. And I think they are certainly the best roster. They
top to bottom,
top to
hands
bottom
down.
have the most pitching depth, the most high quality pitching, and the best offensive club.
And Coach Pollard just does a great job putting it all together. I mean, he's done a really good job since he got there.
Well, and if you look at, go ahead, Clip. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to change the topic.
If you look at how this thing started for Duke, and this isn't the Duke show, but it's just a very interesting thing to me. You know, everybody on their infield, all 4 positions, you had a Harvard, Brown, VMI, and Oklahoma transfer. So it takes a little bit of time to get those guys on the same page. As this thing matured, I'll give you another great example of that, and they're not even relevant as far as the tournament goes, but our conference, UNC Charlotte. UNC Charlotte brought in like 32 new guys. You didn't want any part of UNC Charlotte going away. And I'm going to tell you, next year, watch out for UNC Charlotte if they can keep those players, because those guys will have had an acclimation year to get used to each other, get used to the system, to get used to how Charlotte does things. And in talking to Robert Woodard before we did those games, I asked him, I was like, Coach, how in the world do you bring in 32 guys that you have any feel for? Like, it would seem nearly impossible to go out and organically recruit those guys. And he goes, man, analytics. He goes, they're driven by analytics. So they look at the numbers, very Moneyballish. They look at the numbers and then plug in the player's name, and then they go see the player. And so, it takes, it's like he said, anytime you bring a guy up a level, the game is going to be faster. And it just takes time to get used to that. Duke moved guys that were Division I players, but we're talking about Brown. We're talking about Harvard. We're talking about VMI. Now, Oklahoma, okay, he should have been on par. But it's a different deal. I just think they're playing at a really high level. And that center fielder, Obi, who wants to pitch to that cat right now? He hit a ball 500 feet the other day.
That was the same story with Wichita State, right? They had 3 players return, and that got built it. And at the end of the season, when they started gelling, they were playing good ball.
And you have to look, back to our Pirates, you have to look and go, okay, next year. I mean, and I know we got the regionals coming up, and I'm not, but you have to start looking at next year and go, man, you think about what the pitching staff looks like next year from what we see down there right now. We don't know what's coming in. You really have to think there's some portal pieces that'll have to be added to have immediate impact, when the fact that you're returning effectively one weekend starter in Zach Root, and the rest of it you just don't know.
Cliff is adapting to the NIL world and the portal world, but the NIL now with the 23 club, he is rewarding the guys that stay. And maybe that he's got that part in now. He will accept portal guys and say, hey, you can come in and maybe earn it. Will they want to do that? I don't. And we're just speculating here.
No, that's right. We're just talking like here's the other thing. The greatest experiment in all of NIL and the portal and all of athletics to me is Clemson football. When Dabo has brought nobody in out of the portal, he just says, I'm not playing that game. Well, it felt like last year they played with a parachute on. It was a little bit slower than what we had seen out of Clemson football teams. And you start to wonder, how long can you stay at a certain level without selling your soul to the devil, for lack of a better way to put it.
But does this long term stay?
Yeah.
Now that the NCAA saying we're going to pay for people, we're going to allow some money?
In some shape, form, or fashion, because the NCAA's also said you could transfer and not have to sit, period. So, I mean, there's – I think the freedom of movement will not go away. I think the NIL may quiet down a little bit at certain levels, but you also have the factor of now the NCAA saying, it's so funny, all the things the NCAA didn't want to do 10 years ago is exactly what they're doing now. You can fully fund your athletic department. So if you could come up with the money to pay everybody scholarships, put them on scholarship, feel free to do so. Well, how does a program like East Carolina come up with that amount of money through the Pirate Club when we're also trying to raise money from the NIL, and we're also trying to build an indoor, we're also trying to put, additional facilities in baseball? Is the juice worth the squeeze isn't even the question in this situation. It's where do you get the lemons to squeeze them? There's just not enough of it out there. So I just think there's a lot of moving parts, not to mention, and I don't think this directly affects us from what I can read about it, and I need to read more about it. Probably shouldn't even say anything, but looking at this deal about paying the guys and then the 22% off TV revenue that can be distributed to the student athletes. You look at some mid-majors, even Power 5 programs, and you take 22% of a $10 million year, which that's a super low number, but that's $2.2 million that you're taking out of your operating budget to pay players as quote-unquote almost nearly employees or contractors for your program. Well, where's that money going to be made up to continue to operate your program? Hey, you know what I'm talking about, Cliff? Have you guys read about that? I just don't know. It's like everything favors the financially well off.
Oh, yeah.
If we get to the point where we have to fund baseball scholarships at a 20 or 30 player level, so right now it's, for simple math, it's 12. If we add 15 more scholarships, where's at, let's say are we talking in-state level? Are we talking out-of-state level? What's each one of those scholarships is what? Let's say $20,000 just for simple math. That's $300,000 that has to be you have to come up with every year. And that's just to remain on par with the other programs that are already giving full scholarships. And what I mean by that, Carolina through their NIL, all their baseball players. Tennessee on TV, Vandy's done it forever through an endowment. Those are the things that just keep you on par with the best teams in the country.
Tennessee used to have
I'm
something
wearing
like
a positive clip shirt, so I'm not ready for that conversation.
I don't even think there's.
So do you think
I don't think it's negative or positive. I think it's just factual. We need to start. I mean, this is the ultimate. I want to buy that car, but I got to figure out how to finance it creatively. And when you see there are companies coming out that are lending money to athletic departments to help them do these things, that just shows you that this industry has spawned another industry.
Mafia's coming out for all the schools, and
I mean, I'm all about call the live tour and let's see what we can figure out.
But I mean, do you think it would be fair to have like a luxury tax situation? These big, huge schools that can afford to pay $10 million, but
now if we can't do it that style, then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, you're over what? All right, this is how much money we can cap you out. You can pay every year. All right. Anything over that, we're going to tax, and we're going to distribute amongst the people that can't get there.
I like it for us.
Well, the problem,
we might need it.
I mean that's a Yankees or a Dodgers.
Right.
That's kind of what they don't care, right? Because they've got
the Alabamas aren't going to care.
Yeah, but it's we're probably headed in some direction similar to that, but then the question becomes, how do you govern that? And so if NIL doesn't go away, but you're still going to pay your players, then you just have your booster pay it through that, and then it doesn't hit your luxury tax. It would be a deferred contract at the major league level.
All right, let's steer it back to baseball.
Yeah.
This is depressing to me. One more somewhat negative point, but just a question. So I can think of one. What is ECU's all-time record as a 1 seed against the 4 on that Friday game?
We had one loss I could think of.
Wilmington? Mm-hmm. That's the only one I can think of.
And we threw off that day. Theoretically.
Who did we?
I can't remember what it was.
Oh, well, Agnos pitched against State the next day.
That's right.
So we also a delay, wasn't there? In that
there was a delay.
There's always a delay.
So, but look, man,
because I was thinking about some of the 4s we've seen, and
that guy,
Evansville,
have a year.
I don't know anything about Evansville, but are they going to be better than who do we play? Norfolk State and do we play?
Norfolk State was a pretty good defensive team. We played Coppin State. We didn't know a lot about them, but Norfolk State wasn't bad. They had a couple of major league sons on the team, I think, or at least one.
Oh, Kevin Quinnipiac.
And they were like on our schedule that same year. Like that's one of those teams we typically play in the first week. Those northern teams that come down here.
Yep, good call, Kevin. So is that the Agnos game next against State?
It's all running together.
Yeah, because Wilmington was South Carolina was in that regional. So the Agnos,
That's 19.
we didn't pitch Agnos against
You know,
Quinnipiac.
an Army going out there, they don't have any transfers. They don't have any do it. They just have studs being studs.
I remember we had to bring Burley in.
And they got Jason Nichols.
No, they don't. He's at Preston.
That's why Brandon looked at me so funny. Why did I? Oh, because he came from Army.
I was didn't know if you were going to like release private information or not.
You know what? That's on me, guys.
High overview on Evansville, hitting it at 302.
We were doing so good.
82 home runs. They've got a Kip. I better learn this name. Fogaros has
Well, you can't say that.
17 home runs on the year. He's hitting 346. Mark Schallenberger, 388
Schallenberger.
with 15 home runs, 45 walks.
What's their conference like?
Pretty
Who's in their
impressive.
conference?
I hadn't gotten there yet. They're 35 and 23, so not. Let's see, pitching wise, if they have a donkey.
By the way, I asked. I should have been obvious. Who did Evansville knock off in the Valley? It was Indiana State, who they beat in the tournament to get here.
Let's see, pitching wise.
Thank you, Matt and Denny Hoover, who pointed that out.
Kenton Deverman is 8-1. They have another guy that's 8-6. That's a lot of.
Oh, actually, Denny pointed out Nebraska was the other Big Ten team.
Deverman with 98 innings, 77 strikeouts. Yeah, only walked 20. Not a big strikeout guy. But
Oh,
a strike
Jeff.
thrower.
Jeff, I'll give you credit for the Indiana State. Thank you. Jeff wants an early look at next year, Mully. If there's no,
That's a lot of games.
if our guys on this current roster, if we're putting them in the mix, he said next year's rotation: Root, Norby, Hunter. So Hunter won't be back, will he?
Next year.
No, he would be maybe on the back end. And again, there's I don't know what type of surgery he had. There's a bracing, and then there's a repair. The bracing you could come back from sooner, so I'm not sure what he did there. I don't know that right now you go into going Hunter's definitely a weekend guy.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many variables there. Right now you got, I guess you got Root and Norby is what you got. I mean, you know, and
You think they would try to make Wyatt a starter or keep him?
I mean, he's awfully valuable in the role he's been.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then that becomes the question past that. I mean, you look at what you lose just innings and appearances wise with like losing Danny Beal. You know, you lose Danny, and obviously it's an assumption and most likely a fair one that your Savage is going to be a top 15 pick overall. So, you know, you would think he's gone.
Maybe.
Yeah, pretty sure that 15 slot last year, I just looked this up the other day, was worth just under $4.5 million. So hard to up that.
There's our NIL start right there.
Yeah.
Will Wyatt get drafted? Ask Jeff.
I think there is a real possibility, but I think right now that you look at the last two outings and it just hasn't been him, and you just wonder, is he healthy or is he healthy enough? And that could be the difference in the answer to that question.
Brandon JP wants to know where you got your hat.
From Brandon Golden and Riley Giles of Ghost Lab Baseball out there in
Ryder.
Ryder Giles. Yeah. Ryder Giles. I was trying to say Riley Giles.
That's all right.
Ryder Giles. I was trying to
What do you think about
sneeze.
the future of Corey Costello. I thought he looked pretty promising in the first couple of innings the other day.
Yeah, that's a guy I think they counted. They thought they were going to get a little bit more out of him as a freshman than they got. And we've seen him just kind of spot here and there. But that was what you have to have. And that, I mean, this time of the year to go deep, I'm telling you right now, I don't care who it is. I promise you, in Omaha, there'll be some freshman that's only thrown 9 innings all year that will come up in a huge spot and get a dub.
We were in a Winston-Salem bar watching Matt Bridges against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And barely knew who the guy was.
Yeah, and he's slider, just and owning Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And he's up there pitching like he was a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, it happens, every year. So, Costello, man, if there is a silver lining, and there always is, You've gotten to develop a little confidence in Colby Wallace. You go, okay, Costello. I tell you what, Costello all of a sudden becomes a guy you're like, man, situationally, if the other team's going to roll 2 or 3 lefties in a 4 or 5 hitter span, can Costello go out there and get you 5 outs? You got to remember at this time of the year, it's not an inning expectation. You hope that a starter can give you 6. But it almost becomes, how many outs can you get us? How many times through the lineup can you get us? And then when we have to make a move, all right, we're going to go to this guy to get these 2 guys, and then we're going. It is a true schedule at this point. So Costello, I look forward to seeing him next year, but I don't think we're done with him this year.
No,
a lot of these guys improved during the summer, and you can go watch him this summer play for the Greenville Yard Gnomes.
That's right. And like when a young Danny Beal as a freshman, what did he get? 10 innings, 11 innings. It wasn't really talked about. Let him get another year under his belt, a good summer under his belt somewhere, and he may be the guy. He may be the new Danny. And De Lorenzo.
Yeah, D'Lo will be an interesting watch, just to watch him develop, because right now he is what he is. It's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and a little slider, and he's going to challenge you and kind of come right at you. And the times he hasn't done that, when he's tried to be a little cuter than is normally his MO, it has not worked out well for him. So, it's one of those deals where, there are some points of optimism down there. I think the more interesting thing, you look around the infield, and you're losing everything but Dixon Williams. Behind the plate, you got McChrystal coming back. Obviously, Walker Barron with a big hit the other day. And I like Walker Barron behind the plate a lot. I think he's a really good defensive catcher.
Who's your shortstop next year? Is he on the roster currently?
I don't know. Obviously, there's a couple infielders. There's one that's had some shoulder issues. That's a freshman. He's a good-looking kid. I can't even remember his name. And then the Parham kid, obviously still on the roster. Does Dixon Williams swing over, play second base, and Colby Wallace plays third?
I guess the plan would have been for Parker Bird to be ready to go into that role,
right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but there's, and as it relates back to this current team and coming off of the weekend, I tell you the thing here's my key. Here's my key for the Pirates. Cunningham will wake up this weekend. And here's why I say that. First off, we've all seen him all year. If I didn't know who he was, if I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm Evansville coming here to play, I'm going to go, wait a minute. This dude hit 400 all year. Okay? He hovered at 400. His numbers are ridiculous, and he had 2 hits in their conference tournament. I think he's right. Mm-hmm. A dude like that scares you to death because he's going to figure it out. Now, if you're looking at the other side, if you got a dude that's a 280 hitter and he was 6 for 14 in the conference tournament, you just about feel like you're going to be able to get him out at will because he was out over his skis. Carter Cunningham will come back to life. I think JC, you started to see it towards the end of the tournament, and JC's that streaky guy anyway. Wilcoxon was not as big a factor in that conference tournament as you would need him to be, but McChrystal picked up the production kind of out of that spot, if you will. Starling. Yeah, so I think that, and look, you got to think, you got to know these guys were sitting around their living rooms in their own private conversations and going, half of them are going, yeah, I think we're going to host. Half of them going, man, I don't know if we got enough. They had these conversations. All of a sudden now that question's been answered. Now it's like a new season begins and there's new life. Yeah. And they'll,
they're probably all hitting right now.
Yeah, I mean,
they left the Murphy Center to get to work. That's the attitude these guys have.
Question from Joseph. What happened to Lance Williams? He said, highly rated pitcher we signed last year. Anybody know what happened to this guy?
Is that the kid? Is he a freshman? Is that the...
It was 2023, I guess, signee.
I don't
commit.
know. I don't know. I didn't know if he was talking about the kid that came in from like Ole Miss that had like labrum surgery 3 or 4 times. But no. I don't know about Lance Williams. No. It's a good question.
Number 3 ranked righty in Virginia in 2023.
We lost 2 during the season this year. Was that
Parker Thomas? That one of them, and
I don't remember the other one, but it was Parker Thomas. The only reason anybody knows his name is he was involved in the combined no-hitter. One of them. Otherwise, you don't even know who Parker Thomas is. And he was a 93 guy. I mean,
That was the arm we'd love to have right now.
Well, but was it? I mean, I think literally his total stat line, I don't think he threw more than 3 innings.
Yeah, we're about to throw Cam Clonch. We need anybody we can get right now.
You know, you say that. I watch, you know, as a coach, you have to think about the psyche of the kid plus the stuff and on. I'm watching like, Charlie Hodges down there just chucking in the pen, and then here comes Kobe Wiles getting up beside him, and you know Charlie Hodges got me going, look, man, I'm a freaking senior. I am a pitcher, and we got this freshman freaking third baseman warming up beside me, but it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. You got to get guys out there to give you a chance.
It would be so easy. I mean, that's our thing. You know, we're two-way U. It's got to have at least that one guy.
Robert says, what chance does Southern Miss have to knock off number 1 Tennessee?
None.
Although the number 1 team doesn't win the whole thing, right?
So, yeah, that's right. So, you remember back, was it year before, Tennessee was freaking ridiculous, right? They just and Notre Dame.
Yapping.
They were flipping bats and carrying on. And that's Vitello's thing. Like, he likes to be the Darth Vader. And you and Link Jarrett led Notre Dame down there and took them to the freaking ropes. I mean, they had them body shot after body shot. That was the super. Had them just body shot after body shot. But I just think Tennessee is really good, man. My Omaha field would be, and it sounds unfortunate or ridiculous, but it's going to be heavy SEC. I just think Tennessee's really good. I think
LSU. I think they're going to go through that and win it.
Arkansas is really good.
Oh, now I know why Robert. I'm sorry, I'm a little off. I know why he's asking that question now because we match up.
That would be the matchup.
Yeah. So, good question.
I think Clemson's got a chance. I think Carolina's playing as good as anybody. I think Duke's really, really, really good. How many's that? 6.
Have you looked at how?
Give me a.
State to me doesn't.
They're streaky even. They're right. They didn't end well in their conference tournament, but
State doesn't have enough pitching depth. Their frontline guys are really good,
and their closer is really good.
But you know, what we saw in midweeks, they were the same boat we were.
Yeah.
We can wrap it up with Mully's 8 for Omaha if I can get a look at a bracket here.
And it's funny again to say my sleeper pick is Duke, but I just really
a few weeks ago before a game I said they can hit. They're going to score a lot of runs.
Shout out Eric Tyler.
Yeah.
And he has gotten a lot of credit for their success from their guys. You know, it really doesn't matter what anybody else says, but when your guys are dapping you up and they have confidence in you, and that's a big deal.
This will be a good way to look at it, Mully. All right, so top left, you got Tennessee and ECU. Who you got coming out of there?
We're going to go Tennessee coming out, and I'm going to go Pirates coming out.
But you're just picking the one to make it Omaha. So you're going.
So we're going to go all the way down?
You're going Tennessee.
I still have to talk my way through it. So Tennessee
beating ECU.
Tennessee beating ECU.
Okay.
And I think you've got Duke beating.
I think Duke.
Florida State, Bama, UCF, Stetson.
I think Duke beats Florida State.
Okay. Now we
Arkansas beats Mississippi State.
Okay.
Man, this is Carolina. That's a tough one. Carolina beats.
No. I got LSU, man.
Dallas Baptist.
I was going to say, who's the 4 or 3? That doesn't a 4 come out of one of these? Could it be Grand Canyon at Arizona or something? Yeah.
Dallas Baptist knows how to do it. They've been there.
They have like 50 wins every year.
Every year.
All right, let's go top right. Kentucky.
I'm going to go Indiana State. Comes out of there and plays Oregon State.
There's an interesting 4 seed, Tulane.
And I'm going to go.
And they're hitting the ball right now.
I'm going to go Oregon State there.
All right. We go to Raleigh and Athens.
All right, that'll be my sneaky 3. I'll go JMU comes out of the top of that. Charlie Condon and the Dogs are going to be a lot, so I got to go Dogs.
Okay. And then...
Wow, that'll be a fun one with Clemson and Coastal matched up. I'm going to go the Fighting Eric Backages, and they will play... Oklahoma State just makes too much sense, and I'm going to give the nod to the to the Pirates out of that one. Backage and Schnabel.
Oh, 10-4.
Stay with us, Clip.
Yeah. I'm going to say that's the region you know the least about.
And I've seen
UCSB, San Diego, Oregon.
I saw Santa Barbara play Campbell.
Okay.
So I'll just go with them because there is some familiarity. I don't think it matters. Texas A&M will come out of that one.
I really want to see a Texas A&M Texas Saturday game.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. So Mully's 8 for Omaha is Tennessee, Duke, Razorbacks,
Yep.
and
Eels.
Carolina on the left side, Oregon State, Georgia, Backages, Pirates, and A&M.
I can agree with everything but the Carolina thing with that. I think LSU is really tough and really tough for
I want
them.
to see that Saturday game too.
Yeah.
Be fun.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you to Tiebreakers for the Tiebreakers Selection Show watch party. Thank you all for hanging out. Chon, appreciate it, buddy. See you Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Mully, thank you.
Yep. Good job on the calls.
You want to join us tomorrow, or are you good for the week?
I mean, I can do tomorrow.
You want to do a little more? Let's talk a little more.
Oh, let's do it.
B-Man, we'll be recapping it with you next Monday, and we'll see you out there this weekend. Thank you, buddy.
Oh, show.
Farm Bureau, ECU Baseball Recap with the B-Man every week here on Pirate Radio. Appreciate you joining us. And thank you, fine folks. We'll see you Tuesday, 3 o'clock on Pirate Radio Live, where we'll talk more Pirate baseball and get you ready for the 2024 Greenville Regional.